Our people need direction. Are we going to wage all-out war with the other kingdoms? Or are we going to pursue a more diplomatic approach to ensure that our kingdom thrives for generations to come? As the ruler of one of 4 kingdoms in the distant land of Aria, these are going to be some of the choices that you're going to have to make. In the board game Furtherance, 1 to 4 players are going to compete to make sure that their kingdom comes out as number 1. On average, your conquest for glory is going to take about 30 minutes per player. Now, the goal of the game is to either be the first player to earn 6 victory points, or to be the last player that remains alive. To set up the game, you want to put the board in the middle of the table and then have each player decide what castle that they will claim. Now, there is no strategic benefit to which castle that you choose. Next, you want to separate out all the tokens and then separate all the card types into their own respective piles. And now, for the units, buildings, and item cards, you're going to want to flip face up 3 unique cards from each of those stacks. These are going to be the cards that you're going to be able to purchase throughout the game, and they're going to be the main way that you're going to earn victory points. Next, you're going to want to give each player a worker card, 4 gold, and 2 markers. 1 marker is going to be to mark the health of your castle, and the other marker is going to be to mark how many victory points that you have. And lastly, you're going to need to decide who's going to be the first player of the game, and then distribute out the leader cards. The leaders are going to modify the actions that you might be able to do throughout the game, and then we're ready to play the game. So the game's going to take place over multiple turns, where one player is going to take their entire turn, and then the next player is going to take their entire turn. And within a turn, there's going to be 2 phases. So the first phase is going to be where that player can perform an action with each of their workers. These actions that these workers perform, these are going to be the main ways that you can earn cards to then get victory points throughout the game. The second phase, this is going to be how you're going to be able to achieve the other victory condition, which is being the last person standing. In this phase, you can move and attack with any units that you have on the board. So you can kind of see where this is going, because you can move your units to your opponent's castles, attack their castles, and then if you reduce their castle health to 0, you then eliminate that player, and then if you happen to be the last player standing after that, you're going to win the game via that method. With that being said, let's walk through a turn structure. So again, the first phase, for every worker that you have, you get to perform an action. Now, keep in mind, once you earn 4 victory points, you do get an additional worker, which would then mean you could perform 2 actions within a single turn. So what are the actions that you can do? Well, you can choose to mine. When you mine, you get to collect 4 gold. Gold's going to be important because that's going to be how you're going to be able to purchase cards. The next action that you can do is the market action. In this action, you can purchase up to 2 items. Now, the items, you can use them at any point during the game, but they're only one-time use, so once you use them, you discard them, and then that's it. Next, you can do the build action. You can purchase any of the building cards. Now, the one caveat to this is when you purchase a building card, you put it in front of you, but you don't immediately get its benefit yet. You're going to see a hammer icon on that card with a number next to it. You're going to want to take that number of hammer tokens and place it on this building card. Now, once you remove all the hammer tokens from this building, you have then built that building, and now you can start earning its benefit. So, how do you remove those hammer tokens? Well, that's in the next action that you can do, which is called the develop action. In the develop action, you remove 1 hammer token from a card. The next action that you can do is the recruit action. In the recruit action, you can purchase a unit and then place them face up inside of your castle. And then another action that you can do, you can choose to upgrade your worker. You do this by spending 5 gold to then draw 2 workers out of the upgraded worker deck. You look at these 2, choose which one you want, place it face up in front of you, and then place 3 hammers on that worker. Once you remove the 3 hammers, you can then use that upgraded worker and their upgraded ability. And lastly, you can perform a research action. If you don't like any of the cards that are displayed face up, you can choose one of the decks and then draw the top 3 cards out of that deck. You can then look at those 3 cards and then choose 1 card to place face down in front of you into your research area. You can then take 1 card, put it on top of the deck that you took it from, and then take that last card and put it on the bottom of that deck that you took it from. Now, the research cards, you're going to be able to purchase them using the market action on future turns. And that is a summary of the first phase of a player's turn. Now, the second phase, this is where you can now control your units that are on the board. So any units that you have on the board, you can move them up to 2 spaces, and you can attack with them 2 times. So you can kind of start seeing where the combinations are going to go, because units can choose to attack other units. If they do this, there's going to be a strength icon on each of the units, and what's going to happen is those units are essentially going to trade blows. So you're going to deal that much strength of one unit and attack the health of the other unit, and vice versa. If a unit's health ever gets dropped to 0, they're dead, you remove them from the board, and you put them in the discard pile. And the other main thing that you can do with your units is if you happen to get near your opponent's castle, you can then choose to either attack their castle or a building that they have for 1 damage. Now, if you do that and your opponent happens to have a unit within their castle, they can choose to defend with that unit. If they elect to do that, then you must attack that unit. If they choose not to defend with a unit or they don't have one in their castle, you then deal 1 damage to the castle or to a building, and then in retaliation, that unit that did the attacking gets 1 damage dealt back to them. And that's really a summary of a turn. This is going to go back and forth until, again, someone achieves 6 victory points or until all of your opponents are dead. And that, my friends, is Furtherance in a nutshell. What I really enjoy about this game is how all these different strategies are viable ways to actually win the game. You can win by going really hard and just attacking hard and trying to destroy your opponent's castle, or you can win just by investing in buildings and different units and items to gain victory points that way and not actually engage in combat. So, with that being said, that's all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, so long, farewell.